and some books, and this video is a special one. I was just fired for trying to unionize my job at Litter Robot in Juneau, Wisconsin, at the factory. You may be familiar with their electronic litter robots. They go for about $1,000. That went up since I got hired. They didn't do anything to adjust for inflation at all for us, and it really bothered me because the American worker is struggling big time, and we need our employers to step in, because under the wage system, this is how we live. And making a sound. Sorry, just filling this out here. It says unionize Whisker. They fired me for trying. This is in United States, in Juneau, Wisconsin. I have been working to unionize my job, and wearing this hat, which they have really not liked. So this is Whisker, the factory in Juneau, Wisconsin. I have been trying to form a union here since I started, about a couple years ago. The problem is that in Wisconsin, we're a right-to-work state, so we have people, or we have corporations that come here and set up their manufacturing facilities. We've seen a lot of jobs leave Wisconsin. The difficult years after NAFTA really made an impact on the economy. It's been harder to get good jobs around here and in so many places. So it's important that we do what we can to try to claw back something for the American worker. So if anybody has ever wondered, you do have the right to go to work wearing merchandise that says unionize. Um, you you have the right to organize your fellow co-workers. You have the right to distribute um, literature for the union. And um, there are a lot of people here that are ready for a union, that want to have better worker protections, but everybody thinks they're alone. Since 2009, there has not been a federal minimum wage increase. A lot of these kids that I work with, they haven't seen the wage move. And it's been irrelevant for so long because market forces have driven it higher. However, market forces being at what they are, Whisker hires you at about, I think, $18 an hour plus $1.50 premium. Um, or if you come in through a temp, you actually make $20 an hour. And that's one weird way that they trick you, because you come in and you have to work for a certain amount of hours before your contract gets you um, a gets you hired on. Now, as is traditional with a lot of places, you get sorry, I'm still a little shocked after what happened. Um, After you've made like 4 months or so of work under the temp agency, then you start working, or you can be directly hired, but they don't emphasize that as much because it benefits them after they hire you on from doing this initial probationary period under a third party. Now you have to do another 90 days of a of another probationary period where you have more ways to be dismissed easily, and less benefits and options. Um, Luckily, because they just told me that my insurance is canceled at the end of midnight. And I figured they were waiting for that. So was I. My prescription for the next 3 months just got refilled this morning. So I knew that they were going to try to be shiesty. So, some history, and for those just tuning in, this is Brett. I'm in Juneau, Wisconsin, the United States, at the Litter Robot Assembly Factory, where I was just fired after my attempts to unionize. And I really wanted to unionize all my life. And Juneau is in Dodge County, which has 5 prisons. And the biggest union job provider in Dodge County, I'm pretty sure, is the State Department of Corrections, under the AFSCME, if I understand correctly. That is the union for a lot of Wisconsin state workers 20 years ago. But that could be different now. So I wanted there to be options, because there's this revolving door between temp agencies and factories. I saw it 12 years ago in one of the factories that I worked at, and they actually had contract they had a contract with the minimum wage prison to bring in inmates, and that is part of a larger theme under the 13th Amendment. They made it so that slavery was illegal unless it was done by inmates. And so one of the reasons why manufacturing has sucked ass for over 20 years in America is because we don't only compete with offshore labor for the products that we consume, we also have to compete with contracts that are made between corporations and the state to get cheap union or cheap labor and get around unions. It looks like they're probably waiting for the cops to show up. I feel like they're going to. But I'm not going anywhere. Not till later. I'm gonna go home, go somewhere else. But the way that the revolving door with temp agencies in places like Whisker, which makes the litter robot electric or robotic litter box for $1,000, is that they grind through people. All these jobs do. They find weird ways to make it difficult for people to keep their job or find weird ways to terminate somebody. And it's this weird cycle because in a few years, or I think after a year, you're eligible for rehire. So they have people that are here on their second or third time because this place would rather have people have the experience from the past or from other jobs and only have a lifetime or an employment lifetime of 2 or 3 years. That's most of the people in there, and the outliers have been here for a lot longer and they're emotionally invested. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people don't want to go and stand up for themselves, and I did. I've made a lot of changes here. I showed a lot of people that you can unionize and you can push back, and I wasn't afraid because it just keeps happening. And all you can do is just set me back into that rotating door where I can find another job for as much or more in less than a week, probably. Right now, I have a lot of work to do because I plan on doing a lawsuit against Whisker, and I just told them that firing me for unionizing, which is what they have done, is not going to end this, and it's not going to just go away. I'll see them in court. They responded after I distributed literature encouraging people to unionize and to get their proper officer.
How's it going today, sir?
It's going okay.
What's going on?
Well, I've been trying to unionize here,
Okay.
and just so you know, we're live.
Nope, that's fine.
I was trying to unionize here over the past several months, and they decided to terminate me, which, I left peacefully. I'm not going back onto their property whatsoever. I'm just out here on the street making a video about how the system is that they just bring people in and use them up and kick them out.
So in a way, it's kind of a little bit of a protest.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, under the First Amendment.
No, I'm not saying you did anything wrong. They
Right.
called because they were concerned, but the way they explained it, we kind of thought you were parked on the property and whatnot,
No.
but you're really not creating a scene.
No,
you're not
I'm
holding
not.
up traffic. You're not doing anything like that, so I'm
No.
not worried about that.
Well, I really appreciate that.
So,
That's good.
I do have to ask you, are you a threat to the company at all?
Not at all.
Okay, have you made, they're not claiming it, but I'm asking you, have
No.
you made any statements of harm or
No.
anything like that to the company, or?
No.
Okay.
No.
Or any other employees? You got along with the other employees pretty well?
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
popular.
Okay.
Well,
What was the cause for termination, or don't you know? Or
it was
obviously
for
they told you. but-
Unionite. It was for distributing literature pro-union.
Okay, so is that again? That must be against some kind of a company policy to distribute.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I did it off
whether it was for
property.
union or what other thing.
Yeah, I did it
anything else.
off property. I'm not. That's
Okay.
the employment is a completely different, department. I'm not disputing my right to be there or my job or anything.
Okay.
I'm, quite calm.
No, I don't disagree. You are
Yeah.
quite calm. So,
Yeah.
all right, is this your vehicle?
Yes, it
You're
is.
the registered owner?
Yes.
Okay, then I won't bother you for your name and everything. And
Okay.
do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Like I said, I think our main concern was you being on the property, which you are definitely not.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
but I do believe they own this property as well.
Yes.
Obviously, you're on the roadway, but I'm just
Yep.
giving you a warning. So if you decide to walk up into the field, well, I don't want them to call back. Well, now he's back on our property again.
I'm
you know
not
what I
going to
mean?
cause any trouble like that.
I would agree that you won't. So, do you have any
Cool.
questions at all?
No.
All right.
All
You have
right.
a wonderful day, sir.
You too. Thank you.
All right.
So, as I've been demonstrating to them, and as I will demonstrate further, there's a First Amendment right to speak out in America. We have to continue fighting for our labor rights. And they're going to continue to do petty little things, trying to get us to, fit into a bad box. They want a bad box out of us. They want to say that anybody that wants to get paid enough to save money is greedy, is asking for too much. But executive incomes keep growing and growing and growing. And meanwhile, we have people continuing to lose housing and end up on the street. And people are losing their health care. I just lost mine. But luckily, I've been able to take care of a lot of things. And my health is in pretty good shape. I'm a reasonably young guy. But I've also been working for about 20 years, and I've seen the same pattern occur over and over and over and over again. And looks like they're leaving now. And it's enough. Somebody has to put a over video about unionizing in March. I think it's one of my shorts. They actually talked to me about it, and I'll go into a lot of things that happened here in depth. I've actually been collecting a lot of evidence to prove that this is a toxic and unsafe work environment. Not that they have any responsibility to me, but you might be able to see on here that it's really, really hazy. We have an air quality warning, but work doesn't stop. There was a tornado that came through town a couple of months ago, and that tornado was, warned about. We knew that the conditions were there. Meteorologists knew it. People that see the weather get cold and hot and cold know that that creates those conditions, and they didn't do anything to prevent that from occurring. I have video of what it was like inside that tunnel that I'll release soon. I actually documented a lot of things. I can prove that they have allowed people to remain employed in supervisory positions doing grossly inappropriate things, and haven't really had any kind of accountability for their employment. Don Lunick advised me that he's had to fire in 5 years as many supervisors for sexually inappropriate behavior and harassment. And when I started here, I was a temp, and so as a temp, you have a very tenuous connection to the job, and I didn't feel comfortable to tell anybody when I saw the supervisor of the line like heavily favoring this 19-year-old girl. He would even get jealous of her boyfriends. He was just incensed one day when her and her boyfriend called in on the same day. He felt possessive. Everybody was able to figure it out within a couple of days of working there. It's impossible. If it's not incompetence, it's complicity to keep somebody on that they know that he was failing in a lot of his duties. It was after I think I had to wait 4 or 6 months. I had to threaten to quit to finally get my initial review and raise. They try to do that to drag out raises, because then if you quit before they have to give you a raise, they don't have to back pay you either for what you rightfully earned. And so I didn't tell anybody because I felt like I would just lose my job and I wouldn't be able to do anything to help anybody. So I stayed and I watched more. I watched how the individuals that run this place operate. And I started documenting and talking with coworkers. There's one person who has said inappropriate things so many times and gone into HR with so many people. He's the center of conflict, and they won't stop putting him in positions of authority. So they don't care. They don't care when it's not acknowledged, and they don't care when it is acknowledged. When I filled out when I put in a 2-week notice last year, I had to fill out an online exit survey, where they just kind of debrief with employees. I was pretty candid. I mentioned a lot of things. And it turns out that website doesn't actually delete that. So I was able to go back several times and review and collect proof of what I said when I said it to HR. And I've also said it in multiple different meetings with management. And, these are things that end up not being addressed and brushed under the carpet. And the head manager here, I recorded those meetings, you see, and they found out that I recorded myself telling them everything that is still not addressed. And then I recorded another one, and another one, and another one, and a lot. I have documented a lot, and I have other people that have documentation that they're willing to put up, because we have to fight for each other. There's no organization, there's no political party that's trying to help the workers. Like, populism is dead. At least left populism, when it started at the end of the 19th century, shortly after the Industrial Revolution, and there was a big change in economic systems, where we went from an agrarian model, where people, had money. Money existed, of course. Also, people took care of each other and swapped. It was kind of a gift economy, more overarchingly. Switched over more and more and more to a money-based economy. We've seen so much inflation. Whereas the value of something used to be pretty well tolerated or offset by, the instant material reality of what you had. And if you're wondering, yeah, I had to read a little bit of Marx to figure that part out. But there was a big anarchist movement, populist movement, a labor movement that started almost 200 years ago. I think it was in 1830 that the Molly Maguires emerged in Ireland, and that was a very different type of organization. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime soon, but that is another very interesting chapter in labor history. And as we got closer to the 20th century, at the end of the 19th century, we had people like Mother Jones and Emma Goldman and the industrial workers of the world, one big union. I actually got this Sabotabi tattooed on me while working here, while trying to unionize. But these people are so oblivious that somebody can have a pro-union tattoo and the people that should know don't know. And the people that could know hopefully saw it. I know when I see Sabotabi or the 3 arrows or Circle E or Circle A. I know that there's people out there that care about things getting better. Even if that is brash, I have more of an appreciation for some graffiti than most might. So they sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's a little hard to focus right after getting fired for trying to unionize at Litter Robot at the Whisker facility in Juneau, Wisconsin, United States. If anybody wants to call them and, comment on how wrong it is to fire people for trying to unionize and for speaking out about retaliation, because I've gone over part of why this job is bad, but the official reason that they fired me is for handing out literature. But the real reason that they fired me is for trying to unionize. Every time that I've elevated my efforts to unionize or increase visibility for the effort, Mike Marks has come out and told Dylan Smith or Lester Quintero to pull employees off of the station that I was on, and even put people, like, it put their staffing plans in conflict. And I have documentation of that, and I can get other people to also verify that these things have occurred subsequent to me handing out literature in the first instance, and in the second instance I've been handing out bandanas, because the cool history about the word redneck is that coal miners in the Appalachians wore this as a sign of worker solidarity when they were fighting back against the capitalist industrialists, their employers, the Pinkertons, which is the private contractor rights suppression arm of the capitalist apparatus around here. And then they also had to fight back against the military, because the military has a history of going where economic interests are. If you look up and learn about General Smedley Butler and how war is a racket, you can see it illustrated over 100 years ago. This pattern, when we were making banana republics in places like Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, we sent Marines to take over indigenous land to establish American corporations for rubber and for sugar and for coffee and for so many other things. And we've been protecting economic interest ever since. During the Bosnian War, there was a joke among Herzegovinians and Serbians, really outside of those conflicts and outside of the terrible ways that people act collectively, sometimes xenophobically. Before a triggering event occurs, these are the people that are our community. The people that I work with in here, we are not very similar politically. I'm in a very conservative area, but Trump has been popular here because he has harnessed the populist message. Just like Bernie Sanders and Andrea Alejandro Ocasio. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I really tried to get it right. They divert radical energy from leftism, anti-capitalist leftism, into status quo, Democratic Party, distractions. And so the populist message has been missing for so long for the common man that it's been harnessed by rich people who know how to appeal to us and know how to tell it like it is. I've modeled some of the way that I've interacted with bosses off of Trump, to good effect, because he's an effective person. Regardless of how I feel about his beliefs or his economic prowess, he's got political prowess. He has overcome my expectations of what somebody could do so many times. And that's part of what told me that there's a lot on the table and we got to snatch it back. We have so many people who don't believe in the strength of labor to get behind an effort and get behind somebody who for 4 months blatantly, openly organized for a union. And I've been laying the foundation work for a long time. The union effort isn't going to stop because I've been educating people and organizing, and the people that care about me and know that I care about them, they still have power. We built a lot of power. We built an informal union that lasted for 4 months and got a lot of changes. I was able to pressure them into doing a lot of things. From what I understand, there are things down the line that are going to really benefit people that I demanded, and I can prove that I made those demands, and that they weren't listened to, and that they spent a lot of time just trying to run the clock out and trying to punk me. But I've taken pepper spray and mace and long marches and long waits and stood outside of properties for hours and hours. And I've seen how people can organize and make good trouble. This is how you do it. It starts with you. You don't have to be special. I'm not. I'm just a former factory worker who's a former activist, who's a former homeless person, who is queer, who is crazy. We have so many different intersections and so many things to fight for to protect each other. Like when I put in my 2-week notice last year and I asked to reverse it, and I said, I was really struggling with my mental health. I didn't mean to really do this after further thinking about it and having done things the right way. I'd like to change, and they kept me because I've been good. I've been good for this company. And as they bleed off more and more people to avoid layoffs, and I think also to further automate the lines here, they're trying to get as many people out the door as possible. And they tried to penalize employees for using PTO. They build it up and they charge you back if you quit. Their little final fuck you. But I've got a different fuck you. And that starts with a lawyer. Because I can prove that after I have distributed literature and attempted to organize people, Mark Meadows has called and told Dylan Smith and Lester Quintero to understaff the station that I'm on. They sent people to do the lines, spots on the lines that, like, they didn't need people. We needed people in other places. And to their detriment, they tried to push me out and punk me out. But when my assertion is that you are a bad company, a bad employer, with toxic tactics and policies, don't go proving my point for me. Like, I didn't get too far when I went to school for marketing, but I learned pretty fast that a place this size should have way better public relations. So some background, and for anybody that's just tuning in, and thank you, Mudfather, for your encouragement. I started here in October 2023. We were doing mandatory 50-hour weeks for $20 an hour. Yeah, you actually make more as a temp working here than you do as an actual employee. Like overtime, for example, is calculated at a lower rate than most people calculated it in their head, because on our shift there's $1.50 premium, which isn't going to be calculated for time and a half. That's just going to be based off of base pay. So people get an inflated sense of how much they're earning when they have to do these mandatory overtime hours. But we were doing mandatory 5-day weeks, or 10 hours a day. And we did that for a while, and then we were doing 56-hour mandatory weeks, where if you don't show up on Saturday, you are liable to get fired. You can't ask off in some cases. They've even made it where Friday off. They make Saturday mandatory unless you included Saturday to be included with your PTO. They can still say that they expect you to be there on Saturday. It's a nice little way for them to take away a point. And I asked them, well, if you're going to take away points for people not rescheduling their plans or not being able to make it into work on a Saturday, maybe you can give some points back to people. You know, I show up with my American 40-hour week and you can't. Wait, what happened? They unwound all of our rights. Now it's mandatory. Oh, well, we give you time and a half. You give me the mandatory legal minimum. And you expect me to just keep being a team player? It's baffling, because we work our asses off to make litter robots for cats to shit in for $1,000. And, you know, there's no moral compass. You know, if you're concerned about companies that directly do business with Israel, we do business with Israel at Whisker. I couldn't believe it. I was so tempted to like put something in there about freeing Palestine and ending the occupation, because people aren't supposed to grow up in refugee camps, and we've got generations traumatized by those concentration camps that the US and Britain carved out to give reparations that they didn't have to give for colonization that they shouldn't have done. And you know, now we see that the brutality and monsterness that's all part of this system has very, very, very drastic and bad toll on people. And I have more in common with a Palestinian that is about to get shot trying to get some rice out of the sand than I do with the people that just fired me. And, you know, they feel protected in this system, that people aren't going to push back, that we're all afraid. But I was homeless before I came here. I bought my own land. Since I started here, I was like, wow, with all this overtime pay, how about I buy some property and start some shit? And that way, I can take the camper I live in and go park it on land I bought, and the shakedown doesn't have the power it does for everybody else. You take away my job, I'm not going to be homeless. I'll take my home somewhere else. I own it. I'm not going to lose my property. I paid less than $7 in property tax because it's just a tiny piece, just enough for a person. All I need is some private property, or some personal property, abolish private property, but that's complex. That's for another video. But this is not going to just go away for them, and I'm going to put together some more polished work about the rotating door system of temp agencies and factories. I'm going to talk about how I'm going to do a piece about how it's 2025 and we still have uniform policies at jobs that say you can't have a bra strap visible. Like, if you can't focus at work because somebody has clothes on that you find to be attractive, you are the problem. I'm gay. I have worked with people for decades that I have found attractive, never made it their problem. It's possible. I do it. Lots of people do it. Anybody should do it. And instead, we have policies that protect the scummy management that exploits people and young women and pressures them into doing things. Just because somebody doesn't say no doesn't mean they said yes. Just like the absence of evidence isn't the evidence of absence. They tried to dispute things and say there's no there, but sometimes there is no there. And I'm just going, I'm losing the ball of string now, losing my thread. Don't be afraid to push back against your employer. If they're not going to give you due rights and dignity, you have to push back. And autumn of last year, they changed the policy. And before, if you woke up late and came in before lunch, it was a half a point. And that is a pretty standard policy within points-based attendance program. But then they made it 5 points if you are there less than, if you show up after 30 minutes without calling in. But somebody recently received 1.5 points because he woke up at 3:08 and was ready to get to work within 10 minutes and got here shortly after, half after, but they had called in and said, hey, I'm running late, I'm sorry, I'll be there. And then they're just inflating weird numbers like this, where if you're more than if you clock in at 3:01 or later, now it's half a point. Every other job that I've been at that has an attendance policy has had a 5-minute grace period because life happens. We're out in the sticks. This is Juneau, Wisconsin, United States. If you've been watching this feed, you can see that there is farmery machinery and construction equipment that goes up and down this road. It's an industrial area in a rural county, and so it's a very real thing to be caught behind a giant piece of harvesting machinery being pulled. So it's really difficult for some people to make it in on time, and life is difficult, and people who have less resources have a more difficult time with stability and reliability. And so it's a self-selecting process that eliminates them, just like the kids that show up late to school every day get punished. Like, or the kids that don't focus in the morning. Well, if you didn't eat breakfast in the morning, you're thinking about breakfast, you're not thinking about math. And that's why we need to have free breakfast and lunch programs for children, especially, and for the greater has budgeted luck in a lot in my life. And, you know, you find $1, you eat a McChicken, and you can survive. But we don't have those random opportunities to get just enough anymore for people that are just on the street. And when COVID happened, I was living in a camper with no running water, so no way to go to the bathroom, and they shut down all the bathrooms. Public bathrooms got locked, private bathrooms included. Stores were tree, a squirrel can live in a tree, but I legally have to have somewhere to live. What the fuck is that? We've lost the common space that is there for everybody to enjoy, like shared forests. The commons existed before the capitalist structure ever existed. We've had commons since we've walked. The world is common. Birds live in common. And laws, a statement against enclosure. And that's actually how serfdom and fiefdom were made. A process called enclosure. So the noble people would have this land that was now their property and their resource to charge the workers to pay grain or whatever it was then for most of the time to work, and you had to pay taxes to live. And we've grown so much further from the gift economy that we've typically had, where mutual aid is forefront. People forget that. Like the 12-step program, that's mutual aid. That's something that people do with no price because it needs to be done, and it helps the community and it builds community. And you just don't put a price on it. But if you did, they charge probably close to $100 for an hour for the benefit that people get from going to a meeting. And mutual aid works for those people. And when somebody gets a lupus diagnosis and they have to spend so much time in the hospital, rack up so much medical debt, out in the country, out in a small town, is Jason Aldean or whatever that guy's name is. No, we have fundraisers. People have a pig roast or a fish fry, and the community comes together and puts our money together generously so that we can take care of each other and make sure that things that need to happen. And so mutual aid is our strongest bet right now. If you're going to do anything with your resources, spread them. it's not working here, sure as hell isn't working in the global south. The comforts that I have, I participate in capitalism whether I want to or not. The sugar that's in the food that I eat is made possible by the subjugation of indigenous people, nations especially. Like you can't even opt out in the American system when you participate within the economy. So that's why you might hear there's no ethical consumption of capitalism, but that's not an excuse. We have alternatives like mutual aid. And so by building community like I've been working on doing here, we can claw back what we used to have. What you see in a small town, a small community where people have each other and know each other and care about each other. We somehow, I guess probably through marketing, came to believe that compassion costs us something. I would rather be compassionate and be wrong than be cavalier and be wrong. That's more likely to be wrong. Like, I have fed people that hate me, that hate people like me. They don't even know that I'm gay a lot of the time. I used to have roommates that would listen to Alex Jones all the fucking time. And I am fighting for trans liberation and the collective liberation of all of us. Because all we have is each other. And an injury to one is an injury to all. And I'm going to stop throwing out slogans at you. But if you're just joining now, this is my protest for my job firing me for looking to organize a union here. It's specifically for, I guess they want it to be for distributing materials which are protected. But as I went in yesterday with them, and I told them that they're retaliating against me for my attempts to unionize, and that I don't know how high up it goes, but somebody is calling for my specific station, the area around me, to become understaffed. And so that's why last week I was staunchly making him do his side duties, because they eliminated people. It's hard to explain right now, but I have it all recorded. So I'm just gonna look back on that, and if I need to show who said what when, well, I actually have that. And I have a lot of people who are willing to come out and talk about the ways that they were mistreated. And if you would like to become involved in the resistance against this company for their policies and their unsafe and toxic work environment, you can look me up on Facebook. I have a different name on there. It's Accountability Checks and Balances Party. Because I've been trying to, I've been, oh shit, I'm so distracted right now, I'm sorry. Um, I forget, I'm sorry. Let me get myself back on track here. So, as we can see, they called the police on me before for being out here on the street on my car with the sign. A few weeks ago, on July 15th, there was a threat reported from Whisker to the police department, Juneau Police Department. I got those, I got the transcript of the call logs yesterday. So at, a minimum, they probably had 5 or 10 minutes. Surprised if somebody came and shot the place up, and apparently mentioned specific staff and faculty according to the notes that I have. There was, I don't know how many people on first shift present for this threat that they deemed serious enough to call the police about. And when we showed up, there was evidence, at least for them to be in lockdown. They had about 22 minutes to or they had about 22 minutes into the hour that they knew, and I know they knew, and they didn't message anybody. They knew that they were going into a lockdown, but there was no lockdown protocol. I've talked with members of management from every level here, and they said there was no drill, no protocol, and then they want to emphasize, well, it turned out to just be a nothing burger. Well, you don't get to look at it proactively when you need to have safety protocols for your employees and you have a threat of violence. You don't let people drive into the facility. A lockdown means nobody in or out. And they allowed us all to come in to an area that they thought was dangerous. And you don't get to look back and say, well, it's okay, because it could have been different. And there's this cavalier attitude by employers that they don't have a responsibility to employee health. And that's why you get places where workers die in floods because they're told that they better not miss work by a CEO who's not in town when the flood comes. I don't remember. I think that was Kentucky. Could have been Tennessee or West Virginia or North Carolina. It was pretty close to when there was a hurricane, maybe Sandy. I don't know. There's so many now. Steve Miller Band canceled because extreme weather is so commonplace. And I'm coming to you live today with an air quality alert in place, and a clear haze around here. I can see it, I can feel it, you might be able to hear it in my voice. So like, yeah, we missed the exit. Like, I started doing grassroots fundraising, door-to-door fundraising, organizing in 2006 or 2005 or 2006. I think it was. So I've been out organizing since George W. Bush was president, and I've been seeing this kind of shit. It's crazy to think. But when we were out there going door to door for the Sierra Club, we were talking about how if we don't set certain protections in place, we are going to have wild populations decimated of like things like cod, or all these other things, and things didn't happen. We didn't get regulations on where phosphorus can go, and runoff has accelerated the growth of blue-green algae and cyanobacteria, and factory farms have concentrated muck and chemicals in areas with improper runoff, where people are ending up getting fucking antibiotics from chickens that are being mass treated because the things that they add in on, trying to see how to share. Okay. The shit. Where was I? I just have to message somebody back. Let me try to get back on track here. So we failed to meet. So the chickens, they add antibiotics to chicken feed because it accelerates growth. So when you're selling chicken breasts by the pound and you make Franken chickens with enormous breast muscles, and they don't get to walk around, and they don't get to have any kind of a life. Like, I guess I'd say I'm a flexitarian. I try not to eat meat when possible, but I also do eat it. I just think that because a lot of times I have to go to Quick Trip to get food because there's no other place in town. So mom and dad shops. Luckily, Quick Trip is a Wisconsin company. So it is kind of keeping my money local when I shop there. The reality is that small places that could, like, I wish we had small food vendors everywhere instead of some chains. Like, bring back food vendors. I want some jerk chicken from somebody that cares about making jerk chicken. I don't want some pizza from somebody that's paid the littlest possible and is just barely keeping up with shit, because they keep us so we're all struggling. And basically fucking Quick Trip is a company store now. Walmart's a company store. Fleet Farm's a company store. Because we dump all our money into a few places and we rely on them to provide value that, you know, they don't have to. It's always an exploited, unbalanced relationship. I was reading about the wage system, about how there was a push to abolish wages before, because they argue, rightly so, I think, that you can't possibly calculate properly the value of a worker, of their labor to the output or to the income. The closest way would be when, like, coal miners occupy and take over a coal mine. Then you have a chance for equity. But the system is built against equity, and it's built against people being willing to stand up and speak truth to power. And I don't know, I spent a long time doing a lot of drugs, drinking. I said, if I ever get clean, these fuckers are gonna have a real shit sandwich. So I've done my best to be an unflushable turd. You're more powerful than you think you are. And we, together, are incredibly powerful. We have so many union victories that we can look back on. And we don't need permission from somebody. Everybody says, no, I don't want to work on this because I don't want to pay union dues. But I did everything for free. All that people need to do is write unionize on their hat and go to work. You can do it. It's legal. They can't punish you for that. When they fired me in there, I should have made them specify which specific instances they were firing me for. Because it certainly matters for them, because when you create a hostile workplace by retaliating against people, you create a secondary issue. So in response to me, you have the right to discipline me. But if your discipline shorthands other employees and shorthands the actual efficiency of your line for a designated and nice, we got some solidarity. They got some company. Yeah, so they retaliated and created a hostile last week for 2 hours. I'm pretty sure that I have the audio for product. Yesterday I had multiple people concerned because, again, the other night they had 6 people on one line for easy order and only 2 people over on my line. And that's why I emailed them yesterday. I said this is retaliation. And sure enough, as soon as I spoke out about that, they got me out the door as soon as possible. But I don't flush. Not gonna flush. So, just about to start first break here. So I'll do some interviews when my coworkers come out. I don't know how long I'm gonna be out here holding my protest. And it's 561 West Fairchild Street. Oh, 561 South Fairchild Avenue. It says it on the sign. So yeah, let's see. I got it for you. 561 South Fairchild Avenue. Other people can protest. The police know that I'm doing this. If you're just tuning in, I've already met with the police. You can come out, protest with me. People are about to be coming out for their break. I look forward to talking with them, keep the stream going, and see how long, if other people are interested. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe I'll stay all day. I don't know. Just out here practicing some First Amendment protected shit. Talking to my coworkers. I've been handing out burgundy bandanas. Burgundy bandanas are for people to show worker solidarity. What's up, man? I'm protesting. I already had the cops come and go. It's legal. I told them I'll see their asses in court. I told them that. I'm protesting all fucking day.
I'm on the phone right now.
Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna try to keep people off camera unless they want to come on camera. But all my coworkers can see that I'm not going anywhere. To summarize, if you're just tuning in, this is in Juneau, Wisconsin, at the Whisker facility, which makes litter robotic litter boxes. They fired me for speaking out against retaliation, for that occurred because I tried to unionize. And talk with some of my coworkers shortly. Here's some good ones. Let's see if we can get. You want to come be interviewed? But yeah, it's kind of funny how everybody's got this like action hero mentality where, you know, they talk about how they're gonna, you know, fight the bad guys and shit, and nobody wants to stand up for themselves. They're scared to come in, speak out, organize. All these people that I've worked with for years, so they know what's up. I'll have some more interviews later, but I don't want to approach people because if they don't want to be on camera, then I don't, you know, want to violate that. I have a lot of respect for my coworkers. We'll see who else I can get to do interviews, but I'm gonna be working on exposing this shit. 'Cause I've only gone over a little bit today of my concerns and such. So looks like they must have fired other people today too. I've seen a lot of people driving off. If you're with me from the start, thank you. I really appreciate that. This will eventually get edited down to something better. But we got a lot of work ahead of us still. I'm going to be talking to an employment lawyer about this. We'll see. Let's see here. You guys better unionize. Better shit. good day to go fly a kite. I'll have a lot more information about this up soon. But to go over some of the concerns that I've had about Whisker with their employees. They've allowed management to stay in positions sorry, I keep getting distracted. Alright, I'm gonna wrap up the stream, I think. Let's see. Looks like alright, please subscribe and like the video. I want to get this out there. I'll be trying to organize something more visible. There's a part where they have like a home of the little robot city sign. So that's another spot that I can go and protest at. So yeah, they're working on building I don't know what that was. So this is Little Robot in Wisconsin. Whisker is the name of the factory. Little Robot makes litter boxes, $1,000. Hasn't increased their employees' pay, and that's one of the things I was unionizing about. I'll go over why I was unionizing more thoroughly in another video soon. But one of the big reasons was that they force mandatory overtime, and they'll fire you if you don't do it. And they allow management to be predators and don't do anything to make the young woman who the initial incident that keyed me in was when the manager at the time was obviously grooming a young girl, and nobody did anything. Everybody knew on the floor. Temps knew by their second day. So I've documented multiple times that have raised these issues, and I'm going to have other people document theirs as well. But yeah, man, I hope you guys don't stop fighting for a union. You got to keep fighting for it. I told them I'm suing because they've been retaliating. Like, over in our station, they just had me and my coworker. I'm live right now. They had us doing bundles. Like, that's a multiple person job. As a rule, you add people, not take people away. But they took people away because I fucking put this on my hat. Like Mike Marks, when I hand out or literature, he would come and he'd be like, all right, you have to get some of these people out of here, get them on the line, get them somewhere else. Like, management couldn't even like find a way to make that work. Like, people aren't trained. There's no point in putting somebody just to go get frustrated. Well, I'm not gonna fuck up your break. But, yeah, I'll talk to you soon. All right. So is Litter Robot in Juneau, Wisconsin. These are the people going back into work. Unfortunately, everybody, I'm not trying to put people on the spot either. So, maybe I'll hang out, see. Process this, but I don't remember if you can watch from the start, but it's about 10 or 20 minutes in when the police come, and it's probably going to be the most interesting thing about this video. Follow, subscribe, because I have a lot more videos coming out. I told them that I'm not going to be quiet, so I need people to help. So yeah, I've got to find somebody that's good at like audio editing and video editing and shit, so that I can make something workable to post. Well, yeah, this is life in small town Wisconsin. It was a pleasure working with you guys. All right, peace. All right, so that's the wrap up. I had my protest. Maybe be back out tomorrow.